Welcome to the cult. Anyway, my name is Aaron, and today we are talking about the Steam ecosystem, in particular the Steam machine. But here's the thing: I'm not a tech channel. That's not normally what I do. Do I like tech? Yes, I do. And why am I doing a tech video on a channel that primarily does uh, movies and stuff like that? Well, here's the thing: you can get a lot of this information and a lot of stuff that I'm going to tell you from a lot of the tech channels. The thing is that a lot of tech channels are going to look at this through the eyes of tech, and a lot of gaming channels are going to look at this through the eyes of gaming. So there's going to be a bit more of a bias towards the technology of it, or if you're a gaming channel, sometimes towards the ecosystem that you like. So if you're an Xbox channel, you may be excited about the Xbox portion of it. You may feel threatened by Valve with the going against Xbox and whatnot. With me, I'm looking at it as a guy that likes tech and a guy that games and doesn't have a gaming preference. So we're going to look at it as a layman. And with that being said, let's get into this and let's have some fun. So we got the recent announcement that Valve was going to be doing a whole Steam ecosystem. We'd expected news on a Steam Deck or a Steam controller. There'd been rumors about a console, but we didn't think we'd get all of it dropping at once. Valve came out with an announcement that showed the Steam machine, the Steam controller, and a new sort of VR thing that works on its own called Steam Frame, kind of a different version of their Steam Index, the VR system that they have right now. It kind of shocked the world. So who exactly is Valve and why does any of this matter to us right now? What's it causing and creating such excitement online? Let's go back to the past to kind of explain this a bit. See, Valve had started back in 1996. That was a software company at the time. Former Microsoft employees, Gabe Newell and Mike Harrington, were the starters of it, and their first game was Half-Life, which was a pretty big success back in the day. But in 2003, they would change. See, Harrington left in about 2000, and Gabe was the main force behind the company at that point. What happened then is they would start to look at Half-Life 2, but not just that. See, aside from Half-Life 2, the Steam ecosystem would come about. And what Steam really is, it's a Linux-based program that you can go on and buy all your games. You can buy your Half-Life 2s, you can buy your Portals, you can buy all types of Steam games. And Linux is not Windows. Windows runs with a different system. It's kind of a bit of a more open source competitor to Windows programming. And to keep it pretty basic and base, the difference is like when you run a game in Windows, what it normally does is looking there for an API, which is basically the language that lets the computer know the systems that the game is running in order to run that game. With Linux, they would use a sort of program to let people know what the game is running on, so that you're I want to keep saying it basic as I can, so that you don't have to go through that check, that you're not stopped when you go to play the game. It works extremely well, to the point that in 2022 they announced the Steam Deck. Now the Steam Deck, much like the Nintendo Switch, if you want to put it in that way, is a portable gaming system. It can dock to your TV set the way that a Switch can. And remember that API thing that I talked before. The reason that it's able to work now, as opposed to before when they weren't sure how to get it to go, is that they created something called Proton. And Proton does the compatibility aspect for Windows games. So you can play the normal Steam Linux type games, but thanks to Proton, which is actually an amazing piece of software, it can play the Windows games as well. The Steam Deck was priced really, really competitively, and it became a massive success. You see, the Steam Deck level of success and the console gaming level of success or the Microsoft level of success are completely different beasts. Because Valve isn't a privately owned company, it doesn't have to worry about shareholders or other outside influences. That means that a success for Valve and success for something like a Microsoft or a Sony or Nintendo is completely different. With about respectively close to 8 million Steam Decks being sold, that is considered a massive success because they're being sold through Valve. You don't go into your local Best Buy or Walmart and find a Steam Deck, at least not yet. So selling them through their website and like that, and actually ensuring there's like checks there so that people aren't just buying them kind of willy-nilly, as my grandparents would say, means that there is a slight barrier point there for the casual going and buying in the store. What exactly does that mean? Well, it means that that around 8 million would be considered a success for Steam and Valve, and the 11 million that the Wii U sold would have been a massive failure. We're looking at two completely different metrics when it comes to this. And that's an interesting thing to note. So just file that for later on in the video. The recent announcement brought us the Steam machine. Now, this isn't the first time that Steam has tried to do a console sort of system. No, see, there was one before, and it was to put it bluntly, it's a bit of a massive failure. So what makes now different? We're in a different time now. We're in a different type of ecosystem. At the time when Steam put out their original, they were depending mostly on third party to get that system made. Over the years, Steam has more consolidated and kept things more in-house. They do things more themselves. They don't have to worry so much about getting somebody else to do the system. This is a system that is Valve done. What that means basically is, unlike before, they're not getting a third party to go and make the console for them. That is a massive difference. We're also in a different time right now. When Valve announced the first iteration of this, digital gaming was a thing, but it wasn't as readily accepted as it is right now, thanks to things like Game Pass and even PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Plus Premium. We're seeing a bigger push towards digital type of consoles, and we've seen that most recently with stuff like the Xbox Series S, which is probably the most successful of the Xbox consoles, and the PlayStation 5 digital. We're in a world right now where it's more of more accepted. And even to put it a little bit better, Xbox has been moving away from exclusivity, which means that you're getting all the Xbox games like Gears and like Halo coming onto places like the PlayStation 5. What does that mean for people that are Xbox fans, for instance? Well, for a subset of the fandom, for Xbox people, that seemed like a bit of a betrayal to them. They've put a lot of time and love into the Xbox ecosystem only to see Xbox kind of say, yeah, we're more of a software company. Xbox can be anything. And that was the branding that was done more recently. Xbox doesn't really understand, and they never really did understand, the whole gaming aspect of it, and that gamers do like to have an identity. Sega, Nintendo. Sega does what Nintendo don't. The initial console wars of the Xbox and the PlayStation versus Nintendo. If you're not a gamer, you don't understand most of the time why every game doesn't play on every system, and why a lot of us don't want that. Yes, there is a bit of tribalism into that, but that doesn't have to be as toxic as a lot of people take it when it comes to that word. It's more about getting your own gaming identity. So Xbox has kind of fallen out of favor when it comes to that. I do love my Xbox. For complete transparency, I am not selling the games on just one system. I normally have most of them. I have an Xbox, a PlayStation, and a Nintendo Switch. I don't, however, have a Steam Deck as of yet. I have not been much of a PC gamer. I do have a mid-range, kind of early mid-range gaming computer. I've got an Acer Nitro 5, but that was used mostly for editing and doing videos like this prior to buying my Macintosh. I don't even have a favorite thing in that. I run both PC and Mac. And when I did some earlier programming, I was running some Linux and some Ubuntu with that system. But that's just a little background to know a little bit more about me. Where does this bring us for the new Steam machine? Well, we're at a spot right now where the new Steam machine is a much more viable option. The only question right now is going to be the specs, and with the more recent things that's going on in the world, how that's going to go with the increase in prices for things like RAM. Well, let's look at the specs for the Steam hardware and see exactly what we got right here. And I'll go over this really quickly because I don't want to just hit you with a whole bunch of specs without any context to it. That's why I mentioned the API earlier. That's why I mentioned the other stuff, because I really, really want you to be able to this to be something that's understandable by basically by anyone. And I'll explain it really, really quickly. So the tech specs that we got right now is that the CPU is going to be a semi-custom AMD Zen 4. It is going to be up to 4.8 gigahertz. The GPU is going to be a semi-custom AMD. That's going to have 2.45 gigahertz with a max sustained clock of 110 watts. RAM is going to be 16 gigs DDR5 plus 8 gigabytes GDDR6 VRAM. The internal power source is basic. It's basic. And there are going to be two models of it, a 512 gigabyte and a 2 terabyte one. So what does that rambling actually mean? Well, it means we're also going to get a high-speed micro SD card slot, and we're going to get a Wi-Fi 6E, a Bluetooth 5.3, an integrated 2.4 Steam controller wireless adapter, an HDMI 2.0, and a display port that is supposed to go up to 4K, that supports HDR, FreeSync, and daisy chaining. We'll have two USB-As, we'll have one USB-C, and we'll have a nice little LED strip if you like some RGB. Yeah, that's a lot of words. And a bit of a word soup. If you're not into tech, it's not going to mean anything to you. But let's break that down. Layman's, remember. Layman's terms. What it means is that the machine itself is going to be able to potentially run up to 4K. Now, the tech specs themselves that we looked at right there, where the HDMI 2.0 and the amount of RAM that they're using for the graphics, does tend to lean more towards a 1080p system, so more than 4K, more like a 4K upscaling. And if you've ever got a Blu-ray system that kind of upscales DVDs to kind of Blu-ray, or a 4K that kind of upscales like that, then you kind of know what I mean. It shouldn't actually be real 4K, but it'll upscale it a bit. But why would they do that? Why wouldn't they go for a higher chipset? Why wouldn't they make it so that it's like a real 4K? That's really super powerful. It's going to be kind of close to what a PlayStation 5 does, but it's not going to be going above that. What does that mean exactly? Well, what it means is that they have priced this in a way and put this in a way that it should be more affordable and more accessible to the average person. See, the Steam Deck, people are going to want to have this. The people that are maybe Xbox people are going to be looking at this very, very carefully. People that have been into the gaming system for a bit and have done console gaming and have really wanted to go towards maybe a little bit more towards the PC gaming, but without going out and having to build their own custom gaming PC, are going to look at this as well. Where the drop-off is going to be is in the pricing. If the system is priced any higher, I'd say the initial like base system was priced any higher than $600, we're going to start to see a drop off, because you're going to realize that for the tech that's in this, 600, I say around 5 to 600 is the sweet spot for buying this. If it's around $500, yeah, I'm probably going to buy this myself. If it's at $700, I'm not. I'd wait for a Black Friday sale if they had one and get it down when it was $500. And it's going to mean the difference between success and failure for the system. Yeah, I know. It's an intriguing concept. I'm hoping that it succeeds. It's something that I really, really want to succeed. Now, the Steam Machine has been getting most of the news, but they also introduced a new controller, the Steam controller. See, there was an original controller, which I'll put right here. As you can see right here is the new Steam controller, which has the two thumbsticks, which we really, really needed. It's the thing that I think stopped the original Steam controller from being a real. Valve has learned a lot from their past mistakes. Valve puts out a survey every month to see exactly the type of hardware that their customers use, the type of games that they're playing. That's where all this comes into play. See, when they checked for the Steam Machine, which we talked about earlier, they looked at what customers were playing on. They looked at basically the specs and base that most customers are using, and made the machine to make it priced right and to put it on the largest base what customers use. A Steam Machine is never meant to be something to take the place of a PC gamer's gaming setup. It's not meant to rival next generation's console. It's that in-between spot. It's that sweet spot. The Steam controller isn't meant to like take the place of some of your other controllers. It's meant to be a more hybrid controller between what you would get with a console and the feel of using a gaming PC where you have a mouse and a keyboard. That's one of the neat things about this. See, the Steam Machine is putting itself on as a hybrid console, like computer. You can put a keyboard on this and do your computer stuff as well. There is ways to go into there, much as there was with the Steam Deck, to go and put on some streaming service. You can watch your movies on here as well, so that it kind of fits in with the movie channel that way. There's a whole aspect of what you can do, and it's pretty amazing. But we haven't got to the last one yet, which is the Steam Frame. This one's kind of fun too. The first thing to notice here with the Steam Frame is there's no computer attached. See, the Steam Frame works on its own as its own little beast. It does both the wireless VR and it streams as well as doing non-VR. You can play regular games on there. If you look at the controllers that are used for the hands there, the controllers are done in a way so that you can play regular games on it and you don't have to worry about just VR systems. It's a way to take your gaming into another space and not be like bogged down by a television set, for instance. It's obviously a more personalized gaming way, but I think it's the way the VR should go. From what I've heard so far from the test, it's very lightweight, meaning you can leave it on your head for a nice bit longer than you normally could. What they did introduce was foveated streaming. And what that means exactly is that it looks at where your eyes are going and it optimizes the details that you're looking at directly. So it's going to take the most of the power and put it towards what you're looking at. So anything like on the side or in the background won't be as clear because that's not where you're looking. So wherever you're looking at that time is going to be about 10 times improved over the image quality, and that basically means that the bandwidth that it's using is going to enable you to get a clearer, more solid picture depending on the area that you're looking in, which is different from other systems in that often they're just going to optimize the entire screen, lowering the picture. The tracking is nice. I do like the way that they've got it done. If you go into the website, they'll actually show you some ideas when it comes to this. Because see, at the end of the day, it's a standalone, and this is a really big thing. It's going to use a Snapdragon 8 series processor with 16 gigabytes of RAM. And I can't like mention this enough. It is standalone with a lot of the VR system that you're using. You're either, if it's a console one, you're using your PlayStation to hook it up to the PlayStation 5 so that you can actually get your PSVR 2 to work, or a lot of times you're hooking up to a computer to get it to work there. This one works all on its own, and that's pretty amazing. So there's been lots said online about the systems, about everything that's going on, and I thought we should dispel some of the common myths that are out there. Some of the things that I don't think are going to be a factor in this. One of the things that came up really early on was the pricing and how much it would be. There's a subsection that'll say this is going to be over $1,000, and there's another subsection that say that this is going to be around $400. I don't think either one of those is correct. I would love it to be $400, but you got to look at where the information is coming from as well. And like I said before, where I'm not a tech channel, I don't have a bias towards tech or a bias towards consoles. I'm looking at it as a layman, as somebody that like understands a bit of what's going on here without having to say something based on a bias from like Steam or Microsoft. I'm that in between guy. I'm like you. The thing is that based on the components that are in this right here and how much things are gonna cost, I'm looking at factoring in basically cost for the hardware that's involved, and the fact that Valve is a privately owned company. I'd say we're looking at anywhere between $550 to $600. I think anything above that is going to be questionable on who's going to buy it. $700 price range could reach there, but only going to be even applicable, say, for instance, if they finally make a Half-Life 3 and put that in there. I don't see it going into $700 above for the base 512 gigabyte system. It's just not something that makes much fiscal sense. When it comes to the other thing that I've heard said online, hey, what about if companies go out and buy these in mass so that basically they can use it to run their businesses, and that means Valve doesn't get any sales from games, so they have to really kind of front load the cost to make a higher cost. Well, that makes no sense, and I'll explain. See, I worked in not so much in tech, but as in different companies where we had to buy computers for the companies, both in Canada and U.S. based companies. One of the things that you know right out of the gate is there are deals done to buy a mass bulk of computers. Those deals are set up in advance, and companies aren't going to be going to buy a Steam machine to do their work on. Now, in the future, maybe they'll set up something like that, but it's not something that's viable right now. Companies already have things put in place, systems put in place, where they want to, when you say they're using a Mac-based system or Windows-based system, or even a Linux-based system, though you're going to get less of, unless it's more of like maybe a programming company. See, what a lot of the companies are going to do is go towards what they normally do, is they're going to buy in bulk. Switching over drastically to a brand new and at this point untested system isn't going to be something that's going to be done. It's not viable. It's not feasible, especially for a company that is dependent upon a long working and long going both arrangement and proven technology. It isn't proven to the point that we have to worry about that. So you won't see them pricing this higher based upon a phantom company that does not exist. Now, I'm sure if you're a startup right now, this is going to seem like a very viable option for you. But even then, you're probably going to have a wait and see method when it comes to looking at and buying anything and putting in the money towards your company. Yeah, you're going to want those computers to last for a long time, and want to make sure that they're supported, that they're going to work, that they're going to do what you want them to do, and they're going to be able to do the heavy lifting that you need done. That's not what this is. This is a gaming system / gaming PC. It's meant to get you in there. It's meant to look at the specs that the average gamer uses and not go towards just the high-end gamer. If a premium version of this becomes something that is financially feasible and something that Valve can do down the road, trust me, I'm sure that they are already working on looking towards doing that based on what is happening and how this thing is seen by the consumer. I hope that in the future Valve will make deals with places like Walmart and Best Buy and electronic shops that they can actually sell this stuff. So there's a point of entry for Steam Decks and the Steam machines and Steam Frame and all that goodness in a store. So you can walk into a store, go in there, see your Sony, see your Nintendo, see your Microsoft Xbox, and see your Valve Steam machine. I think that's the kind of world that we all want to live in. We all need more choice, and more choice is always better. Just look at the wrestling industry when there was no choice. Wasn't a pretty sight. So there you go. That is the Steam machine, Steam Frame, Steam controller, and a bit on the Steam Deck as well. Hopefully you got to learn a bit more about this. If you're going to pick up a Steam machine, or if you got a Steam Deck, for instance, or you're thinking of picking one up, put it in the comment section down below. If there's anything here that I haven't explained in a way that you're left a bit confused, please let me know, and maybe we can do a follow-up video. But if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and hype the video so that other people can see this. This is not what I normally do on my channel, so I'm taking a bit of a risk making a video like this, but I thought it was important. It was fun to do, and let you know a little bit more about me and about the stuff that I do and that I like behind the scenes when I'm not on here talking movies with you guys. So I'll see you next time. My name is Aaron. Thanks for joining the cult here. Normally we do a lot of movie talk, but every once in a while we kind of break it up a bit because I feel that right now there's a space to talk about this in a way that that we need, because I want to do this without any biases, without too much techno babble, and just do this for like the average person who's like, this sounds really, really interesting. Should I get this? And that's where we end this off is, should you get this? Is this something for you? Well, I don't normally tell people to go out and buy something right away. I say always check to be certain that you look at reviews and stuff like that that are applicable to you to see if the system is for you. A lot of tech reviewers are going to look at this and going to go under the hood, and they're going to say things like, okay, this isn't as powerful as this. And that's not what you want to know. You want to know if it fits and works for you. If you're a Xbox or PlayStation person right now and you've been interested in getting games cheaper and getting games that can run on a system with a controller, the controller itself looks about the size of the Xbox Duke. The difference is that with the unwieldiness of the Duke, which was the original Xbox controller, by the way, for those that don't know, was a bigger controller, is that this one looks to be more functional as opposed to the aesthetic of the Duke, which is just big and bulky. If you're just a gamer controller and you want to be using those thumbsticks, well, they're right there in the place that you need them. If you're going to more towards what the PC aspect of it and you're going into consoles, then you've got the trackpads there as well to give you that feel of the track. So if you're like, say, you've been gaming on a console or a PC, or the third part is people that have gamed on their phones or their tablets, that gives a nice way for them to choose and decide which way they want to go as well. It's a nice starting place as long as the price is right. Between $500 and $600 is the sweet spot for this. I'll come back once the price has been announced, and we'll have another conversation on whether this is a viable option for you. And if not, what's the most viable option to go with? I'm really hoping that the price is right, because that is going to be the make or break for this one right here. I do think that the pricing is going to be done well. They did say, which got people concerned, that it was going to be priced more towards what a gaming PC would be priced as opposed to a console. But I think that people are looking at that and taking that in the wrong way. But all remains to be seen. The price is going to be the key part right here, because the specs are perfectly fine for a decent gaming console, and entry into the world of Steam and entry into the world of PC. I do think the Steam Deck's amazing, and I do want to grab one of those up down the road, and we'll do a future video talking if you want to. Let me know if you want a video down the road on the Steam Deck itself, looking at the LCD and OLED versions of Steam Deck, and which one could be best for you. Maybe we'll even look at different other gaming handhelds as well. I'm Aaron, this has been The Cult, and I will see you next time. So until then, happy gaming.
Oh God. Subscription sloth here. Just want to remind you that I know in the summertime especially it can be super warm and lazy. But if you're liking this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to go that step further and join the Patreon, there's a link for that down below. You can super sticker, super chat, or donate. But above all, just lie back and enjoy the video, because that's what I'm going to do.